my name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So for today's movie, I will be reviewing Venom, The Last Dance, directed by Marcel and starring Tom Hardy, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Juno Temple, Stephen Graham, Peggy Lou, and Andy Serkis. Taking place not too long after the events of Let There Be Carnage, Eddie Brock, played once again by Tom Hardy, finds himself a fugitive in Mexico as he is now accused of murder. Not wanting to be a fugitive for the rest of his life, Eddie Brock decides to go to New York to clear his name. Somehow. I mean, he throws in a line about having a judge in his pocket or something, but honestly, the film barely took the time to explain how going to New York will clear his name. That I honestly barely care to explain how the movie thinks he will clear his name. To get past various obstacles on his way to New York, Eddie Brock will need to enlist the assistance of Venom, also played by Tom Hardy, as there are quite a few people who are out for him for a variety of reasons. There are xenophages, Lovecraftian-type aliens searching for a codex on behalf of their try-hard emo leader Noel, played by Andy Serkis, and there's a secret military organization led by Rex, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, alongside scientist Dr. Payne, played by Juno Temple. The story, even by the relatively poor standards of the prior entry, is exceptionally threadbare and lacking in thematic detail. As I mentioned earlier, the mechanics behind how New York will be the key to Eddie Brock's salvation are so underdeveloped that the film practically forgets about it after introducing that plot development. There are a few interesting moments that tend to probe Eddie's psychology, but the film never seems interested in actually going all the way with this as a thematic idea. The same can be said for the rest of the supporting characters, as they're offered not great but mildly interesting dynamics, but it never properly takes advantage of them. The biggest sin involves a subplot including hippies for whom the script refuses to match the level of effort they're putting into their performances. As for the film's big baddie, Noel never gets to do anything except for just sulk in his emo cage. However, the writing does have a few things going for it to make this film at least mildly watchable. Though hackneyed and formulaic, the film functions at its best when it lets Eddie marinate in the shit show that is his sucky life, contradictory as that may sound. The humor, though still not fully working for me, does abandon the hyper-juvenile tone of its predecessor in favor of mildly amusing banter. Again, mildly is kind of the name of the game for this movie, and the film can be best described using that adjective. For every clumsy joke like Eddie lacking proper footwear, the writer must have been a big Die Hard fan, there are funny jokes like Venom just outright rejecting a vegan meal, which, yeah, that got me a laugh. It's an easy laugh, but it's a solid laugh nonetheless. As for the performances, come for Tom Hardy's performance? Man, stay for Tom Hardy's performance. While the cast does get a surprising amount of mileage out of the threadbare script, it's Tom Hardy who commands the attention. Tom Hardy brings his A game in a physical performance as Eddie, and his voiceover work as Venom it's worth a few chuckles. Juno Temple, she's decent enough as the altruistic yet mildly clueless Dr. Payne, and Chiwetel Ejiofor, he lends a depth to an otherwise two-dimensional character through brute force alone. Rhys Ifans, he gives more than what is deserved to the role of hardcore hippie Martin, and Andy Serkis is completely wasted in the role of emo baddie Noel. The action sequences aren't the greatest, but they are an improvement over the predecessor. The color palette is more vibrant as it allows a variety of locations to be played in, plus there are more symbiotes this time around that have a variety of colors to them, so it makes for some nice contrast in the visual department. The action scenes, they are more visually coherent, although they are technically imprecise, which I suppose that's a given. This is a directorial debut for Marcel. The action scenes are much more creative, with my personal favorite involving Venom being used as a parachute, And the studio executives, while refusing to grant this film the permission to go full R-rated, they did seem to allow them to include some blood effects, which, while relatively minimal, this is PG-13, they do add some much-needed spice to the action sequences. So though it's an improvement over its predecessor, The Last Dance is too uneven in its execution to be the proper send-off it aspires to. So with all that in mind, I will be giving Venom: The Last Dance 2.5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you like this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, what is your favorite Venom movie and why?